On the east coast, and they were coming inland. They came up the rivers, they got as far inland as York and beyond, and down south. They went up the Thames and took over what is now London, and the thieves, rogues and vagabonds were having a field day, taking advantage of the unsettled situation. But a great king came to the throne, Alfred the Great. What was he famous for?
Being great.
Being great.
Yeah. Notice the Australians were quiet, they don't do history out there.
We've got 200 years of history.
Hello.
Suits that old.
30 if you're a Richmond supporter.
Bernard Gateshead, that's another story, because apart from that he was a great man in many ways, and above all else he was a great warrior. He actually came to the throne after losing his 3 brothers and his father fighting the Vikings. He was intent on victory. In 886, at the age of 37, he recaptured what is now London. He turned the tide against the Vikings, made his way up country, drumming up support, giving people confidence and giving Birstall a wide berth on the way up. And he arrived in Ripon. And like everyone else that comes to Ripon, he thought, what a wonderful place.
Yes.
You can understand it, can't you?
Yes.
He couldn't believe it found such a lush paradise nestled between 3 rivers. We have the Laver, the Skell and the Ure. And apart from that, he got a great deal of support from the local population in his fight against the Vikings. And as a reward, he said, I'm going to grant this wonderful community a royal charter. Now it was a spontaneous decision. He didn't have a nice parchment scroll prepared or anything like that. The only thing he had to offer them as a symbol of that charter was a horn. Not this one, but he gave them a horn. He said, that is your royal charter. You must treasure it and look after it forever. And the city did. It's in safekeeping in the town hall. Then he went on to say, we've got a wonderful settlement here. But you could lose everything. The Vikings are still around, the thieves, rogues and vagabonds are active, they'll steal everything you've got. You must be vigilant. Why don't you appoint yourself a wakeman? Now a wakeman is someone who stays awake during the hours of darkness, patrols the city keeping a watchful eye while other people sleep safely in the beds. So they appointed a wakeman. And they further decided the wakeman could put the horn to good use. He would sound the horn at the 4 corners of the market cross, exactly at 9 o'clock each evening, to let the people, regardless of what the town hall clock says, because that's never right, to let the people know the watchman said he was now on patrol and we could retreat to the homes knowing full well he was out there keeping a watchful eye all night. And it's not been missed not for one night in 1126 years. And that's where my wife thinks I'm all night, love. Is anybody walking you up?
You are.
I don't know about the rest of you lads, but I've pulled.
In your dream.
Sorry, I put me aftershave on it. The situation prevailed almost unchanged throughout the centuries to 1604, when a second charter was granted to the city by James I. And this time it was a written charter. And it was decided that things should become more democratic in Ripon because the wakeman of the day became far too powerful. He was actually elected by and from the 15 most powerful men in the city. No one else had a say. And once elected for a 1-year term of office, he simply appointed the other 14 as his constables. And between them, they made up laws to suit themselves. They ruled the city with a rod of iron, and they dished out justice as they saw fit, including the lashes on the square where you are now standing. And I'm thinking of bringing them back on a Friday night, I'll tell you. But the granting of the second charter outwent the wakeman, and they elected the first mayor by vote by all the people. And the mayor, in turn, employed a hornblower to carry and set in the watch on his behalf. That's how it is today. I work for the mayor of the day. The first mayor of 1604 was a man called Hugh Ripley, and he lived in that house there at the corner with the 4 bay windows, the pointed roof. And it is said, if the horn is not sounded to his satisfaction at 9 o'clock, his ghostly face will appear in that attic window, and all kinds of strange and terrible things will happen to the city. Will be visited by people from Bristol and Birstall and places like that.
And Australia.
Come back from the colonies in vast numbers. Begging forgiveness. We reformed the British Empire, but we're far too busy. You can stand on your own feet. Now, Hugh Ripon had been awakening this time. He didn't trust his hornblower. He put another rule in place. That's when the hornblower has set the watch at the market cross, he must then find the mayor of the day, wherever it is in the city, and stand in front of him and report him that he's done his duty by sounding the horn 3 times, raising his hat and bowing his head, and shouting out the words, "Mr. Mayor, the watch is set." And that's what I've got to do now when I finish speaking to you good people. If he's at home, drive out to his house, I stand outside his front door, I sound the horn loudly 3 times, and the neighbours simply love it. What's called a poor night. Reasonable night when it's in the town hall, it's just a short walk.
Once you have a few drinks first, go back there a bit later at 1 o'clock.
The best nights are when it's in the pub, because at the start of the unicorn and work away through all the And they hope next year they'll elect somebody that gets out more. I've seen this in a lot of churches this year so far. Finally, we've got 4 horns in the city. The original charter horn given to the city by Alfred the Great does still exist. Not blown anymore, it's quite small actually. It's about that size. It's now covered in black velvet. It's capped with solid silver. It's mounted on a leather shoulder baldric which bears the badges and crests of previous Wakeman mail. And it can be seen. If you've got a party together, a dozen or a couple of dozen, family, friends, the club, class, work colleagues, Australians or whatever, contact the town hall in writing or by phone. We'll open up one evening or one afternoon and give you what they call the silver talk. You'll be taken into the mayor's parlour. You'll be able to see and touch the original charter horn and all the other city treasures. It doesn't cost anything. We love to do it. It promotes the city, so don't hesitate. That horn was replaced in 1690 by the only horn the city ever paid for. Being Yorkshire folk, they weren't right pleased, had to pay for it in the first place. When they found out they were going to be charged 6 and 8 pence, which is like 34 pence or 52 Australian dollars or whatever you have out there. The Yorkshire chorus echoed round the council chambers. How much? You hear that a lot round here in Yorkshire. I still use that horn today, bring it out occasionally for an airing. So it's a beautiful instrument. Can't believe that it was made for 34 pence. Now that was replaced in 1886 by a large African ox horn, given to celebrate 1,000 years of granting of the first charter. That horn is always in possession of my deputy. He's always equipped with a horn and a uniform, so they can step into the breach in case anything happens to me and I can't get in. And that was replaced in 1986 by this, much nicer looking thing, given to celebrate 1,100 years of granting of the first charter. And finally, has anyone spotted the 5th horn?
Yes. Oh, yes.
93 feet or 30 metres up there, horn number 5. That's to do a rolling life. It's a weather vane. It's also a sealed time capsule. It was sealed in 1889, the time before last. That's when they were shipping criminals out to Australia. It was sealed in the time before last. It was sealed in 1889 for 100 years. Never thought they'd let them come back.
We're proud of our heritage, our convict heritage.
It was always said that it contained 7 gold sovereigns. It was taken down in 1986. That's 3 years before the 100 years was up, because urgent repair work was needed to the upper part of the obelisk. When they opened it up, the sovereigns were gone and there were just a bill for last time for repair. Now that was half the cars have been on Valium since then, but they're getting over it gradually. It was resealed again in 1986 for a further 100 years. You're all invited to the opening. And this time there is money up there. The morning money given to the cathedral by the Queen is up there, together with a bill for repairs this time. And the bill for repairs in 1889 was £42. And the bill for almost identical work in 1986 was £13,500. There you are, folks. That's how things have changed over the years, and a brief outline of our fantastic history.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, you did very well.
Hey, the mayor and the council in the meeting, the lay that clapping, I'll get a rise next week. Now, tonight, my mayor, you know, after a report to the mayor, he happens to be in the town hall, so you're going to see the last three sound on the town hall steps. It's not often you see that, because the council meetings are usually in the afternoon. But before I go, I haven't got enough of these to go around, but when I took on the job, I decided the vast amount of money they paid me, I spend on a token of appreciation. I designed what they call the Hornblower's Lucky Wooden Penny. I didn't know what I was unleashing on the world. They do actually work. I get letters and emails from all over the world from people whose luck has changed for the better with regard to health, wealth and happiness. I've given 24,000 now in just about every city and every country in the world. Promise me one thing, if you get one of these tonight, and there's enough to go around, if you get one of these tonight, you win the lottery on Saturday, you know when I'm Are you guys share of that?
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. We can indeed.
Might come back to you. There you are. You need one, love.
I seriously thought you were going to go into the phone box and come out like Superman when I talked to you before.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, ladies.
Exactly wrong.
More than half the
I
crowd.
didn't expect such a big crowd.
It's all us Aussies.
Yeah.
So we didn't know each other either. We didn't know we were all going to be here. Just to hear you.
There's about 14 of us who know each other.
Four of us are.
If anybody wants a photo cuddle, I'll hang around. But for the rest of you that want to drift away, so ladies and gentlemen, the watch is set. Sleep safe in your bed.
Thank you.
You and yours, and I go.
Thank